Welcome to the Snakes and Ladders podcast in association with Hunting for Profit, in-play horse racing trading education courses and online academy.
Hello, so welcome to another edition of Snakes and Ladders podcast. It's been a while. My name's Matt Gibson and I am your host. So in 2020, during the pandemic lockdowns, we decided to do some podcasts with existing members of Hunting for Profit because we were bored basically. There was lockdowns and there was no racing on. So we thought we'd do a couple, and they were well received. People enjoyed them. We then done another one last year, which was also well received, and a few people have asked when am I bringing the podcast back. Now I'm one of them people that doesn't want to throw out information that's pointless. If I've not got anything to say, or other people haven't, then I'm not going to come on here rambling about what I've had for breakfast. Because you're tuning in because you want to listen about trading, the betting markets, and more geared towards trading and horse racing and in-play trading and the mindset side of stuff as well. So it's pointless me ranting on about what I had for tea or what I'd done last week. But there are some life experiences that do come into trading, so there will be points in this podcast where I will talk about stuff externally from trading that will relate to trading. You'll see what I mean if you listen along as we go along. So my plans with this podcast is this podcast is a bit different to the previous ones where I invited guests on, members from Hunting for Profit. Instead of that, what I'm doing with this podcast is I'm thinking about doing more of a regular podcast, which is just myself, a solo podcast. Now, there may be some of them that I'll invite existing members on as guests again, because I know that some did enjoy that. But it's often difficult to get people to come on because a lot of traders just want to sit in the background. For example, in our group, we have a very, very settled group. Well over 90% have been with us for a few years. A lot of them have been with us for a long time, over our nearly 7 years. We're in our 7th year now. So a lot of them just want to sit in the background, do their trading, make their money, and then switch a computer off. And I totally get that. I totally get where they're coming from. Not everybody wants to pop on a podcast and talk and share their experiences, and I don't expect them to. So there may be the odd guest that will pop on to mix things up. This is a bit of a trial and error thing, really. To be honest, this is not something I've ever done on my own. I've obviously done it with them free podcasts with the other guys, but let's see how it goes. It might be the first and last, as I said on the first podcast that we've done. So it might be the first and last of the solo podcast that I do. We'll just see how it goes and see how it's received. If it's not to the benefit of many people, then I won't carry them on. But hopefully, if I can share my experiences from trading, it may help some people. And you don't have to be a horse racing trader either, because I'm a massive big advocate. Those that know me, I'm a big advocate of the mindset of a trader, getting into the right mindset. And I know there's lots of mindset stuff out there, but hopefully I can give you a little bit of value that you can take away and take into your trading. So what I've done is I've decided I'm going to basically split this podcast in half, and I'm going to talk. The first part will be about the ramblings of a trader, and the second will be the racing diary. Now, some people have asked when am I bringing the racing diary back. I've got a bit lackadaisy with that, if I'm honest. Been busy in my personal life and stuff, and I've not filled out the racing diary with much information for a while now. But I am going to bring that back now the national hunt season is kicked in. So if you go to huntingforprofit.co.uk, at the top you've got options at the top where it says home, about, education, testimonials, and if you click on racing diary at the top, you'll be able to see the racing diary information up there. And also via our Twitter at Hunt for Profit, you'll be able to catch any tweets, and I'll always make sure that it's posted out on Twitter as well. So you've got that notification of the racing diary. And in previous racing diary comments, we've had quite a bit of form and stuff come out of them races, and some horses have been backed in pre-race and in play from that diary. So it was well worth following. Not for everybody, but it has helped some people. So I will bring back the racing diary, but what I'm going to do is this second part of this podcast, I'm going to talk through bits of racing. Okay, and I'll divulge more about that when we get into that in a bit. So the first part will be the ramblings of a trader, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to probably run this maybe once a week. It's not going to be every day. I just don't have time to do that, I'm afraid, because a lot of my day, a large bulk of my day, the mornings are taken up doing research on racing, because I write a watch list for the Hunting for Profit group in the academy, which they use then to trade in the afternoons. So that's my full day gone. So I don't have time to ramble on about trading and stuff every single day, and as I've already said, I'll only put out information that I think is relevant and helpful and of value to people. If I have nothing to say, I'm not going to put a podcast on. So I might not put one on for 2 or 3 weeks, and it's not because I can't be bothered. It's because I don't have a lot to say. So if I haven't got a lot to say, then I'm not going to put one on. I'm not going to just ramble on about that I've had scrambled egg on toast to you for half an hour, because nobody wants to listen to that, do they? So, yeah, so my story, those that don't know, if you're listening for the first time and you've just stumbled across this podcast. So I started, I first opened a Betfair account in 2007. Now, back then I was match betting, and I was clueless about trading, didn't have a clue, and I used to match bet on football, and then I realised if I'd done it on horse racing, I'd get it done quicker, because I could lump loads of different bets on horse racing and then cash it in quite quickly. Those that don't know what match betting is basically you bet with a bookmaker on a new account, you get a free bet, and then you lock in the profit using that free bet. Back then, it was a real heyday. It was great. There was loads of offers, really good offers. I believe, I don't know, I don't do it now, but I believe that the offers are much more difficult. Not so much more difficult, but not as good as they were back then. So, quite lucky to catch it when it was good back then. So anyway, I kept looking at the horse racing markets in play more than anything, and I was intrigued, and I got sucked in, and I studied for hours and hours, and found an edge in the market basically. And I've traded, or I've attempted to trade, all different sports and other markets like politics and reality TV shows and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. But the markets that I really have generated proper profit from is the in-play horse racing markets, are the ones that captivate me and the ones that make money. So in 2015 to 2016 I went full-time, and then in 2017 several traders. I was in different trading groups, and several traders said to me, "Why don't you set up your own service and help people?" And I laughed at that because I'd never taught in my life anything. Done a bit of research, and I put this out. The group that I run now is very, very, the education that I run now is very, very different to 6-7 years ago. If I'm honest, I wasn't ready to mentor anybody 6-7 years ago. Really, a lot of it's trial and error as you go along, and I've obviously refined the course and the academy and everything over time, and it's a real educational experience now. There's a plan. Everything's mapped out for people. I don't want to ramble on. I'm not here to go and plug my course and academy and everything. That's not entirely what this podcast's about. I want to give something back in this podcast, but I'm just explaining where I am, where I've come from. If you want to know more about my backstory, like in work-wise, where I'm from, then go to huntingforprofit.co.uk, click on About at the top of the website, and there's a brief bit about myself, but there's also 3 videos, links in there, where I done an interview with Simon Knott from Star Sports Bet as part of the Betting People series. They asked me to do an interview with them down in London. Have a listen to that. Have a listen to that, because I speak about my backstory on that more. So I don't want to ramble on about that on this podcast when it's already out there on a video. So go there if you want to know more about my backstory. So I've said my plans and my ramblings of a trader, really. So what I'm going to talk about is kind of how the week or the fortnight or whatever it is, that period of time since I last done the previous podcast, how it's going, what's been going on, and talk about the day-to-day aspect of a sports trader, if you like. To me, I only trade horse racing in play. I trade the odd pre-race market, but not much anymore. It's mainly in play on horses. The reason why I don't trade much pre-race, I'm okay at it. I'm not brilliant. The in-play, as I've already said, the in-play markets are the ones that work for me, for my trading style, and I just find them much easier to take profit from. So this last week has been a little bit up and down. Yesterday it was okay. We had one jumps meeting on, a bit of all weather on. The day before it was just all weather racing. We had one jumps meeting, but it was cancelled after the first race because of the weather. This week the weather's stopped quite a lot of the racing, which is very disappointing. Today, for example, Weatherby's off for the jumps, and so we've just got Newmarket on the flat and some all-weather racing. Hopefully, fingers crossed, tomorrow there'll be some more jump racing. I will go through in the racing diary later on in the podcast. I will go on. We'll talk about some races tomorrow, which hopefully won't be rained off, so it won't be a pointless chat. But hopefully you'll learn from it anyway. So it's been a bit of an up and down week. The weekend was just gone. Last weekend was okay. Saturday was quite fruitful. There was quite a few opportunities to get out on Saturday, particularly more so than Sunday. Sunday was a little bit more trickier. So the reason why I talk like this and say I'm brutally honest about it is because you will get people out there that will say, "Yep, I'm making £500, £1,000 a day every single day, yada yada yada." It's not true in reality. That you will have days that aren't as good as others in trading, and what you have to understand is there are variances. It doesn't matter what your edge is. It doesn't matter what you're trading, your subject. You will have variance in your results. So it's understanding that variance and how to tackle that variance and how to act and react during them downturn times. which is important, and I talk a lot about that in our academy, which is geared specifically towards how we trade. So variances can be tackled and dealt with differently depending on what you're trading and how your approach. So I can't delve into major detail about variances because it has to be tailored towards your edge, basically. So, but you need to understand when your variances, when the downturn times happen, when to sit on your hands, when to sit back, relax, just wait for the times when your edge hits, and then when it's fruitful, then hit it. So yeah, it's understanding that really, and it's important to have that frame of mindset. I talked recently in a blog post on the web. It's on the website. If you go to the top of the website at huntingforprofit.co.uk, go click on blog, and there's all the blog posts that I've previously put up since I've ran the website. I talked about value, and value not just in the market when you're trading, but value within yourself. And I think it's really important. Now, I'm not a big telly addict, but I was watching a TV program recently. It's on Channel 4 for Stand Up to Cancer, and it's basically a load of celebrities that have gone away. I think they went to Austria, and they basically went to conquer some heights, and the idea is that they've done different challenges, and then tonight, the final program, they're gonna walk a tightrope. I don't know if it's across the top of the stadium or it's high up in the stadium at West Ham Stadium, the London Stadium, and that's their final challenge, if you like. Now, what I found when I first started watching this program, I thought, this is going to be rubbish. It's just a bunch of celebrities doing stuff at heights. It's not going to be very exciting. But what I found, I'll be honest, it isn't overly exciting to watch. But what I found interesting was how they behaved to and how they reacted to their situations that were put in front of them. And human behaviour does interest me, how people think and how they approach something that they could be scared of. They might doubt themselves that they might not be good enough. And they had a guy on there called, I think his name's Chris Hughes. He's done stuff for Channel ITV horse racing program. I think he's been on that program Love Island. He absolutely crapped himself. Like they take him to like a beam to a tightrope to walk across several foot up, and he'd straight away he'd be saying, I can't do this. I'm not doing this. You can F off. I can't do this. And every single challenge he would react like that before each challenge, and he'd go into it doubting himself, and they had to throw himself off this bridge, obviously attached to like a bungee thing, and he was absolutely crapping himself. And he was on one of the first programs, he was attached to a girl called Grace, I think she's a podcaster, or should I say fellow podcaster. Anyway, I'm joking. She was attached to him, so there was two of them jumping off this bungee thing, and she was absolutely crapping herself as well. Now, obviously, sat in the comfort of your own sofa. I'm not saying I wouldn't crap myself, but it's just interesting that the first sort of program, they were both absolutely crapping themselves, and others took it better. And as the program went on, I noticed that Grace started conquering it. Now, I'm not great with heights. It's actually my biggest fear is falling. It's not the being at the height, it's the falling from the height that scares me. And I've jumped out of an aeroplane a few times, but back when I was in the army. And I remember when I was back in the army, we had to cover the fire strikes when firemen were on strike, and So we went out in the Green Goddesses, fire engines, and part of the training I had to climb up this fuck off big ladder and turn this fuck off big hose on. And I didn't like it at all. But you just got to get it done. You just got to get up there and get it done. And I know it's easily said than done. Did I conquer my fear of heights doing them things and jumping out of a plane? No. Absolutely not. Didn't conquer it at all. So I don't buy into this I conquered my fear talk. I think if you're scared of something, or you're worried about doing something, and you think something's a bridge too far, or whatever you want to call it, you put barriers up, and you try, and it's kind of safeguard. Them barriers are to safeguard you. You don't want to do it, and it scares you, and your body changes, your mindset changes. But what I noticed with, if I go back to that Stand Up to Cancer program, I can't remember what it was called, and I should tell you. Well, it's on Channel 4 tonight. So yeah, basically going back to that, there's a bunch of celebrities that were doing this thing, and it was interesting to see how those that channeled their mindset on the job in hand. And I think it's really important to take that from the program. Really, is that you can. There was, for example, there was a lady on there, Victoria Pemberton, I think she's an ex-Olympic cyclist. She also had a brief spell of trying to be a jockey. I say trying to be a jockey. She actually ran at Cheltenham Festival in the amateur race. But anyway, she seemed to complete her tasks very competently, and she was just in the zone. And I think it's really important. Now, would she have been worried about the height? Probably. Would she have been scared? Probably. Who isn't? If you're told to walk a tightrope, or there was one task they had to do there, they had this like wooden bridge made with no side railings, and they basically had pieces of string dangling down that they could hold onto as they climbed across. And it's this rickety wooden bridge, and it was suspended underneath the highest bridge in Austria, however many hundred feet up, I can't remember, but it looked really, really high. And she just breezed across it like it looked like she was just walking to a supermarket from her car. Like it just looked pretty easy. But she channeled her mind on the job in hand. Of course she's going to be scared and concerned. Even if you're not particularly scared of heights, that's a long way up. It's a long way down. So, and that was interesting because she channeled her thoughts on the job in hand instead of thinking I can't do it and getting and like I say, it's easy to sit from the comfort of your armchair and just think, well, come on, challenge your mindset. But it's really important when something scary or something challenging comes along in life like that. The best way to do it is to channel your mindset towards the job in hand. Okay, this is going to be scary. This is going to be high up. But if I focus on what I should do, so if I focus on putting one foot in front of the other and balancing myself and holding on to the one rope at a time, and if I focus on doing what I've been instructed to do, what I've been taught to do on the tightrope, to where to position my shoulders, where to put my feet, and think about the job in hand. And I think that's where a lot of traders go wrong. They overstake. They put money into the market when they shouldn't do. They're not thinking straight. They're too busy looking at social media on their phone when they should turn their phone off, put it in a drawer somewhere, and turn it back on afterwards. Obviously, if you've got some downtime from trading or in between, that's fine. But when you're when you're in that market or you're watching a market, you have to be zoned in on that market. And I talked a bit about value in the blog post that I wrote, where I'm talking about being amongst people and finding value from other people with guidance and support. And with that Stand Up to Cancer program, what they had a team spirit where it was Paddy McGuinness was their team captain, and they had him egging them on and helping them along, and they had a coach there as well who was guiding them and putting the challenges in front of them. And now, could you imagine them doing that, and all of them just absolutely crapped themselves, and none of them had the confidence to have a go at it? They would have never have done it. They would have never have done it. So obviously they needed the mix of people. And it's the same with trading. Confidence grows the more you watch, the more markets you watch, the more experience you get and understand, this is happening, that's happening. Okay, I'm confident of putting X, Y and Z amount of money into the market because I know that there's a high chance the outcome will move into my favour. So yes, it's experience, but it's also surrounding yourself around people that are successful in that area and people that are confident in that area and can help you grow. And that's what happened in that Stand Up to Cancer program. Is the guys, particularly the Grace in the program, she grew from somebody that absolutely crapped herself and was really, really scared, to somebody that just grew and she confidently walked across that bridge. So it's important to surround yourself with people like that. That program was called Don't Look Down. I remember now. Don't Look Down on Channel 4 tonight, the finale of it. So yeah, I'll probably watch that. Like I say, it wasn't the most amazing program to watch, but it was just interesting to watch the human behaviour about how people react and how people approach things that are outside their comfort zone. And you as a trader and somebody that goes into trading, you're going to get that. So, and this is what we do in Hunting for Profit. A high percentage of us have been trading for several years now. So when we bring somebody new into the fold, I guide and help them and guide them towards the correct mindset and the correct way to think. And everyone's different. Everyone's mindset is slightly different. The mind you bring into trading isn't the one that will make you money. We all come from different backgrounds, different beliefs. So what it's a case of is a case of bit by bit guiding that person and helping them out. And in trading, I call it the trading jigsaw. If you don't have every part of the jigsaw puzzle, you're not going to make money. So you need that complete jigsaw puzzle, and that jigsaw puzzle is a combination of that. If you split it in half, one is your edge, and one is your mindset. So you need an edge that actually works, that will make money long term, and you need a mindset that is going to achieve that edge. Is going to help and nurture that edge so you make money from it. And you can break that mindset jigsaw down into little bits of jigsaws and all different parts of it. I've already mentioned one about variance, and I've already mentioned another about fear, and I can maybe talk about different parts of it in other podcasts. So it is a journey, trading, and it is an education. I think a lot of people get into it. Obviously, you get into it because you want to make money, right? But you've got to break it down, treat it as an education, and look at the different components. And surrounding yourself by people that are mentally winning is massively helpful. I mean, the edge that I teach is self-taught, which is incredibly difficult. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't go back and do it again. And this is why I give that to people. I help people, I show people what I do. But the mental edge, I've had help from people along the way, and I've listened to other people and other successful traders, picked things up myself. I don't class to be a psychologist or anything, but it's important to understand how you tick mentally. So again, like I say, surrounding yourself by people that understand what you're going through is vitally important. And I put in the blog post, I put in it, think of it like this: if you're in an environment that does not understand your value, you are like a fish that's trying to climb a tree. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to live its whole life thinking it's stupid. And that's why this is why your education has to be correct for you to feel more valuable. You need to change your environment you're in. So if you're in an environment that's not helpful and it's hindering your trading, if you've got people surrounding you with ego telling you how good they are, how great they are at trading, that's probably not going to help you. If you're surrounding people that are telling you can't do this, you're stupid, you're an idiot, you're just gambling, you can't do this, no way you're going to make money from that. You're not going to be successful if you've got that doubt and negativity in your mind, in the background all the time. So surrounding yourself by people that can help and guide you is really important. So whatever you're trading, make sure your surroundings and your environment. And yes, of course, trading is a lonesome thing. You're doing it on your own. But if you can be within an environment, even if it's 2 or 3 people that you've known from trading along the way that give value, and it's the same in life. Like it's absolutely the same in life. If people don't give you value as a friend or family, what's the point of them? You need, people should give you value. If negativity and stuff like that, you just don't need. So it is a reflection of life. Is a reflection of trading sometimes. So yeah, you just take value from it, and that's what I took from that TV program. Don't Look Down, is that they had different people egging them on and encouraging them, and they had the guidance and support from the guy that was mentoring them to walk the tightrope. And most of them, if not all of them, wouldn't have even walked the low tightrope, the bigger tightrope, from day one. And that's true in the fact that you have to work your way up with any form of trading. You can't do a course or read a book and then suddenly start churning out massive amounts of money. It doesn't work like that. I use the analogy that you don't try and drive the Ferrari before you learn to drive a Skoda. Learn to drive the Skoda first. Learn to drive the 1 litre Fiat Punto. Yeah. Learn the basics of the mechanics of the car and how everything works, and in terms of driving, and then build it up. So don't throw yourself in more difficult, fast-moving, tricky markets that's going to cost you money. It's going to send you mad. It could blow a bank or whatever. Work on the more obvious value markets to start with, and build yourself up to a stage where you can trade the trickier markets. Don't throw yourself in at the deep end, because it isn't going to happen. And some people do that, and it 99.999% of the time it won't work out. It'll end up in tears. So get yourself in an environment that's going to help you, not hinder you. Okay? And there is a lot of people that have a lot of ego out there, and it's not good. And it's human nature, people get an ego about themselves, and particularly with social media and stuff. Everyone wants to tell you that they've been on holiday to Barbados and they're living the dream and they've got the perfect lifestyle and they're this, they're that. Look at me. Not everybody's like that. there are people like that out there, and I can't relate to them people. And there's a lot of materialistic people and people that want to boast about how good they are and what. Yeah, that's all great, mate. But you surround yourself by people that are going to offer you something, some value in your education, some guidance and support. It's all right, I could turn around and tell you, I just made £100 in that race, but that's not going to educate you or tell you anything. Great, well done, mate. You made £100 in that race. It's not going to give you any value or anything. Whereas if I said to you, right, okay, so I entered at this position due to X, Y, and Z, and I exited at this position because of X, Y, and Z, and you can go, oh, right, I see what you mean now. I get that. I understand why you entered now, and I can see why you exited. That makes sense. So then you can learn from that. So surround yourself by people that are going to help you and educate you, so you can learn and develop and become a better trader yourself. And that's what it's all about. And it's doing your apprenticeship. Okay, it's really important to find to get that successful mentality and mindset. Again, going back to the Don't Look Down program, that is how those that were really, really scared, they then got help to focus on the job in hand. Okay, so this is going to be scary. This is very, very high, but I need to do X, Y, and Z to get across that bridge and get to the other side. So yeah, that's kind of what I took from that, really. So that is this week's ramblings of a trader. Okay, so this section is purely on racing, the racing diary.
They're off. They race away then.
Now, I don't have any information to go over from recent races because I don't have any recent entry into the racing diary, as I've already said. So on future podcasts, I can maybe cover that and talk through what's happened, what hasn't happened, to give you an idea on how I look at some form, parts of just one area of form in the market. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk briefly over a few races tomorrow. Now, I could talk over every race, but I'd be sat here for a few hours and I'll probably send you to sleep. So I'm going to talk out a few pointers of a few different horses that are of interest to me, really. So the 12 o'clock at Ayr tomorrow, okay, is currently good to soft. That may well change. The ground could change anywhere at the minute. There's been a lot of rain. So the 12 o'clock at Ayr is a novices hurdle race. Very lightly race field. You've got to keep an open mind to these races. It is a lightly race field. They're uncontested. They're unexposed. So they're lightly raced horses. Now, a horse that does interest me is Indivar Bleu. I think that's how you pronounce it, or Bleu. Now, this horse is making its hurdle debut. Now, I haven't got what the betting up is yet. I don't know what they're going to go off at, but and it may well be that there isn't a trade in this race. I'm just talking about horses for future reference and to follow form. Some of these horses that I mentioned, there may be a trade. The way I trade is not set and forget. It's not, right, back this horse, this will run well. It's none of that. The way that I approach the market and the way I teach is very different to that. It's very, very different to anything you will find out there, really. It's a very different approach. So these are just pointers. It's very important to make that clear that these are just pointers on horses that I have are of interest to me moving forwards. So there may well be a trade in here, and the guys in our academy understand where I'm coming from here. So it's difficult to give full explanation to how we trade because it's almost impossible to talk it over through a podcast. But what I'm trying to do is give you pointers and understanding of some things that I'm looking for in some races that might be of interest. So Indivar Bleu is Bleu. French horse. He's he's making hurdles debut. Now he won his bumper. So he won a bumper. If you don't know what bumper race is, it's a national hunt flat race. So it's for national hunt horses. So that it's for horses that are going to jump over hurdles and fences, or just hurdles. And yeah, so they're gonna go jumping. But what they do is they sometimes run them in a flat race just for them horses, just to get them used to racing, basically. And sometimes they'll have a full season in bumpers. So this horse ran in a bumper. And the reason why I call it bumpers is because years ago, it used to be just inexperienced jockeys on inexperienced horses, and they used to bump into each other like bumper cars, hence the nickname bumper. But now any jockey rides in them, but they're inexperienced horses. So just of interest, this horse, he won his bumper by 12 lengths on his only start. Now he's a shire of a Grade 1 winner, Constitution Hill, Blue Lord, and In the Pocket. So he's got a really decent pedigree. Probably his ideal ground will be soft ground. So this sort of ground is going to be ideal. And he's going over 2 miles tomorrow. I'd expect he may well progress to sort of 2 mile 4 in time. But he's certainly a horse to keep an eye on his hurdles debut. Obviously he's got to jump well. They don't always when the first time up. But it's just one to be interested to keep an eye out on. And what I don't want people to do is with the racing diary is for this information might go over some people's heads, and I get that. And that's kind of partly why I'm doing this, not for it to go over people's heads, but to help educate people. Because what I realised is that my brain's packed with information that I've picked up and learnt along my own journey over several years of doing this, trading and reading race cards and stuff. But there was a time where I knew nothing about racing, seriously, and you just understand where you are on your journey. And if this does go over your head, don't worry, just use it as an educational thing. And that's kind of what I want this podcast to be. I want it to be education for you. If you've got this far and you're not fallen asleep or turned it off, then hopefully you're one of them that does want to learn and listen and learn to stuff I've got to say. So hopefully it comes across as that. So if it does go over your head, don't worry. And there will be people that are listening that will know exactly what I'm talking about, which is fine again. But it's here for educational means and for you to learn, basically. So that's just a horse that I'm interested in seeing first time up. There is a horse in the race that's actually won a race, won first time up, last time out, and that's a bumper winner as well in I Love My Bay. Won at Perth, but that was in good ground, and the bumper was in good ground as well, so it's good to soft here. It won a 5-runner race, held up, but won it fairly comfortably. And the fourth has since won to frank and boost that form. So, but that horse will be carrying a £6 penalty tomorrow. So he'll be carrying at least £6 more than the rest. Florida Dreams is another as well. Now Florida Dreams is a dual bumper winner. Okay, so one in soft ground at Musselburgh first time out, and then won a graded race last time up in April. So that could be another horse to follow. So yeah, it's just an interesting race, and it may well be competitive in the end, and it might be an interesting one in terms of racing diary and form moving forwards. So moving on to 1232. So there's a horse that interests me in this race is Little Miss Dante. Now, she's runner-up on bumper debut, and then she bolted up the following race when she was last seen in April. Now, the trainer, Ollie Murphy, believes she is well above an average mare. Okay. She's well above an average mare. Now she's against mares and boys and geldings here. Okay, so it's a boys and girls race. They're all lightly raced. Okay, but I'm just interested to see how she'll run. Because that's just a bit of information from Ollie Murphy saying, the trainer saying she's well above an average mare. Now she may well not be, but we'll see. He's bigged her up as something that could be worth. She's something that could be worth following. So I'll have an interest in how she runs in that race, really. So we're moving on to the 13:30. Passing Well is of interest. Now this race is a novices limited handicap chase. Okay, so they're either making chase debuts here, or they've had 1 or 2 races in defeat over fences. Yeah, so none of them are exposed over fences. Now this could easily be a competitive race, and it is really the sort of race where I'm going to be looking, and I'll be looking for an obvious trade. There might be a little pocket of a move. It will be something that I'll be looking at the time, and I'll be looking, is there a spontaneous trade here as an in-play trader? But that's not to say there might not be a safe area for me to enter in this race, so just bear that in mind. But I'm just talking about horses that are of interest, that might be of interest. Passing Well, he's a 2 times winner over hurdles. He was 4th in a grade 1, which is top end race over hurdles. The trainer said they're very much looking forward to sending him over fences. He jumped hurdles like he's a future chaser, was Jamie Snowden's comments, and he can't wait to run him over in a 2.5 miles novice handicap chase. So he's running over 2 mile, 3 furlongs almost tomorrow. Passing Well, he's of interest to me to see how he jumps, how he goes. He's won in soft over hurdles, so he may be one to watch for. Are you wise to that one last time out? It was his chase debut. It was in good to firm ground. He's won in good to soft over hurdles before. Now that race that he won, he beat a horse called Not Now Linda, who run well. She finished runner-up the following race, and the 3rd has since come out and won, and so's the 7th. So there's a bit of form out of that race, to be fair. So he could be one to watch as well. But he's gone up. What's he gone up? £7 for that win. So he's up £7 in the ratings for that win. He's the only winner over fences in that race. Passing Well may be of interest, but again, I wouldn't discount others at all. Sir Psycho, he's switching yards. He's been at Paul Nicholls. He switched to Harry Dirham. Harry Dirham used to be assistant trainer to Paul Nicholls until recently. He's set up his own yard. Now Sir Psycho, he's over hurdles. He looked good as a novice, and it just tailed off. It didn't work out really in his next season over hurdles. Sorry, but he did go up to rated into the late 140s, and he's rated 127 here over fences. So if he takes, I'm not saying he will, but if he takes to chasing well, if he jumps well over fences, he might be one to keep an eye on just to see how he goes. And this is literally, I'm talking about, these are new chasers. They've got to be able to jump them fences. So yeah, he's one that might be of interest. And there are others that I would keep a real open mind to the race, if I'm honest. But they're just 3 horses really that are possibly of interest. And like I say, anything can happen in these novice chases. Really, you have to have an open mind to them. But it's just a race that might be of interest tomorrow. The 1350. Weatherby tomorrow. Hopefully Weatherby's on. There's been a lot of rain and it's been called off today, so it may well not be on tomorrow, which will be a shame because it's Down Royal's already called off in Ireland, and Down Royal had some good races in. This is really the official weekend. The start of the Hunting for Profit season was last month. It starts at Chepstow over the Friday and Saturday, but this weekend coming up really is really the kind of first sort of, not big but fairly big meetings really. Well, you've got the big race of the day at Weatherby, and Down Royal had a good card as well, so it's a shame Down Royal's off. Weatherby could be off as well. We'll have to see later on today, so I'll briefly go over a couple of races, because 2 or 3 races, because at Weatherby, because it might be called off. At Weatherby, you've got a mare's hurdle in the 1350, and you've got, just talking off the top of my head, you've got you Wear It Wells running in the race, a front runner it's a mare's hurdle. She was actually a horse that I was tracking last season that was in our group tracker runners. So we have a load of runners in trackers that we keep an eye on during the season, and she was one of ours last season, and from her bumper form, and she won 4 from 6 races, so she progressed well. Won 2 grade 2 novice hurdles. She's gone up to a rating of 142. She's won fresh, so she could still go well tomorrow. She's a front runner. The skeleton runner Kitira has also won front running. She's won 3 from 4 races. You got Lucia is won 2 from 4. Like this, and if you look at ratings, they're all quite close. You got Sainsbury Girl as well, who likes to be ridden quite aggressively, promptly ridden, front running type. So there's several that could go off towards the front here. You've also very difficult race to judge, and it might not be easy to trade, but we'll see. There might be an obvious reason to get involved. The 1425 at Weatherby. Okay, so it's soft, heavy ground, right? Dashel Drasher is running in the race, rated 159, and this horse loves the soft ground. All recent form is soft ground. Won fresh last year at Aintree in November, first time up. It was only a 4-runner race though. 10-year-old now. May well try and dictate the pace in front. Go off in front. You've got Time Hill, who's absolutely no mug, likely to be more held up and more of a patient ride. Time Hill's rated £4 lower, a year younger. GA Law's quite interesting. May well fluff his lines, I don't know. May not run as well. But he has gone okay fresh before. He's won fresh. Nearly all his form's over fences. In fact, every race he's run is over fences apart from the first, which he finished 6 from 8 over hurdles. So that's all we got to go off over hurdles. But he's rated he was rated up to the 150s over fences, and his novice runs were really good. Like, he jumped for fun in front, and he looked really progressive, and he progressed up to a marker 142 in handicaps. He won at Cheltenham off 142, but he's not since won, and that was last year off 142 in November. But last 3 races, he fell at Doncaster. He then finished 5th from 9 in a Grade 1 in the Ryanair at a Cheltenham Festival. Yeah, so it's a big race. And then he was pulled up at Aintree in the Aintree Bowl. So that's another big race as well. So you can't knock him in them races really, and so he's done all right over fences. He's certainly been one to keep on side over fences, and if he takes to the smaller obstacles back over hurdles, he's off a marker 1:42 here. So I'm not saying he's going to outrun Dashiell Drasher or Time Hill here, but he might be one to keep an eye on. And it wouldn't shock me if they obviously think he's got a chance over hurdles. It wouldn't shock me it wouldn't shock me either way. It wouldn't shock me if he fell off the back of the TV and said, I don't want to jump these hurdles, mate. I'm not interested. Put me back over fences. Or it wouldn't shock me if he ran I know I'm fence sitting here, but it wouldn't shock me if he ran a good race and pressed them and gave them a race, a race of it. Certainly one to watch for. You got the likes of Botox has in there, who's exposed as well, rated slightly lower, and you've got Red Risk as well, similar type of horse really. And this is all opinions, isn't it? What I'm talking about, but I'm just looking at things and looking at the ratings and looking at the previous history of horses. We're talking about a graded race here. So yeah, just my thought process is off the top of my head on that race really, and I'll obviously delve into it a bit deeper before I put out a watch list to the guys in the academy to make sure that I haven't missed anything. And then you've got the 1500 at Wetherby, which is the big race of the day, which is the Charlie Hall Chase. And it's a shame there's only 4 runners now in it. There was a few others in it, but that have been taken out. Brave Man's Game won this last year. Brave Man's Game, lovely horse. This horse is lovely. It's probably my favourite horse in training, actually. He jumps so well, so slick. Really lovely jumper. He's progressed really well. He done well in novice races over hurdles. He started off really well in novice chases. Now he lost to Ahoy Senior, I think you call him. I'm not great at pronouncing these horse names. He lost to him in April last year at Aintree. I don't know what happened that day, but I can't remember. In fact, I can't remember what trainer comments were. But he's since had a wind up. So he had a wind up after that race when he lost to his rival, and he's progressed since then. I mean, he won. He's beaten Hoy Senior in 5 times out of 6. He's beat him over hurdles and lost to him over hurdles, but he's beaten I think it's 5 or 4 times. He's beaten more times anyway over fences. Lost that race at Aintree April 2022, but he's progressed since then. Won 2 races, Brave Man's Game, since then. One of them a grade 2, then a grade 1 at Kempton. He's won fresh. He won the first race after his wind up was this race last year. Then he progressed and won the King George at Kempton on Boxing Day. He then went to the Cheltenham Festival and he came second in the Gold Cup. He ran a cracking race to lose to Galopin Deschamps, who is an absolute beast of an animal, an absolute beast of a horse, really good horse. And then he finished 3rd from 5th at Punchestown on his finale, which I wouldn't really... Again, Galopin Deschamps was in that race. He finished runner-up. So I wouldn't really take... He still ran okay, though. I wouldn't knock him for finishing 3rd from 5th in that race at all. So he's progressed really well. Really good horse. Slick jumper. He can front run or he can be promptly ridden. Hoy Senior is a front runner, and I think he needs to front run. I think for him it's down to his jumping. Some races he just doesn't jump very well. Some races, if he can get it together and make his jumping good, then he could possibly give Braveman's Game a race, but it's down to his jumping, and I think that Braveman's Game has improved much more. So it's very difficult to think, would Ahoy Senior give him a race? Yeah, I don't think so. But if he jumps slickly and he can dictate the pace in front from his rival, then maybe we'll see. But I would expect Braveman's Game. He's an odds-on favourite in this race, and I'd expect him to go well. You've got Midnight River there at carrying a couple of pounds less, but rated a lot lower, off 156. Braveman's Game's rated off 172, and Ahoy Senior's rated 169. And then you've got Gentleman's Game, the Irish Raider, is come across from Ireland, so something to keep an eye on when you get Irish runners come across, and when UK runners go across to Ireland as well, is just have a look to see if they've travelled before. Some horses don't travel, they're coming across the Irish Sea at the end of the day. This horse is all its runs has been in Ireland. Now it's rated, bottom weight rated off 154, so it's got a bit to make up in the ratings really. But that said, the horse has only run twice over fences. So one in soft ground on debut over 2 mile 5 furlongs, and then ran and finished second to Easy Game, which is a 158 rated chaser, in September. Ran prominently ridden, so got a bit to make up in the ratings, but unexposed at the trip. That was over 2 mile 4 furlongs, so has won over 2 mile 7 over hurdles. So it is an unexposed horse, so don't discount the horse. I mean, got quite a bit to make up in the ratings, though. May well just fall off the back of the TV and struggle to keep up with the big lad up top. Braveman's Game likely to be, he'll run in tracking Ahoy Senior. I think he may well jump out in front, but I think he'll track Ahoy Senior along with Gentleman's Game, and then aim to hit the front towards the business end of the race. So yeah, it's an interesting little race. It's only a 4-runner race, but you never know. You never know in national hunt racing. You never know in jump racing. But yeah, it's an interesting race to look at, even though it's a small field for the first race, first sort of one of the big races. Certainly the big race of one of the bigger races of the day. Midnight River goes well fresh as well. So yeah, you never discount a horse from a race is what I always say. But yeah, Gentleman's Game is the unexposed one really, the one that possibly could improve, but got a bit to make up with the others. And yeah, I'd expect Braveman's Game to come out all guns blazing and run a good race. But the only thing is the ground is you know, it is going to be heavy. It is going to be heavy. Braveman's Game's won in soft ground before. So yeah, you'd think he'd handle it okay. But yeah, if it's bottomless ground, that's what you've got to be wary of. With the change of ground, it could be some difference really. I think I've rattled on enough. So that's kind of my racing thoughts for tomorrow. I hope this has helped. I hope you got some benefit from this podcast. I'm not going to ramble on anymore because I hope the ramblings of a trader has been beneficial to you. And if you liked it, give this a like. I'm going to put this on YouTube. I might put it on other platforms in future. Let me know what platforms you like in the comments section. If you liked it in the comments section, pop some comments in there and share it. And yeah, and I'll see you on the next one.
So I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you want to know more about learning how to trade horse racing in play, then you can find us on Twitter and YouTube, and you can contact us via the website at www.huntforprofit.com. huntingforprofit.co.uk.